Oh,吓死我了. That was scary, guys. I'm scared. Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome back to another audio review. So, today we're talking about the KBEAR Pecker. So, Keep Hi-Fi Audio messaged me on Twitter, asked me if I wanted to review one of these new Peckers, and I said sure. However, this will probably be the first and only IEM I will ever review at this price point. This is kind of like the extreme budget price range, and nothing against KBEAR or anything. I just think there are far too many budget IEMs on the market nowadays, and there's more being pumped out on the daily, so there's just far too many to go through, and there's an extreme oversaturation on the market. I think everyone interested in audio, especially if you guys watch this channel or watch other channels, you guys would have tried many different things, owned many different things, so you guys are more curious towards what pathways you want to go towards upgrades, rather than looking at all these cheaper side grades. So I think I'll be very picky with reviews and only start to review noteworthy products. If they are truly special within a certain price range, then I will still review them. Otherwise, I'll try to get, just in general, better things for us to all look at. However, this particular one was kind of interesting to me because it's only $28 US, which is really, really cheap. However, it's got one dynamic driver and two BAs. So this is a multi-driver configuration for under $30. It's like $10 per driver. And so that, I was like, you can't be serious. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. When they first messaged me though, I thought this was KBEAR, as in like the animal, but it turns out it was KBEAR, so I got that wrong. KBEAR is another Chinese brand. We call them Chi-Fi, and so we'll keep this one really short because there's honestly not too much for me to talk about here either. So as always, we always have a little summary. This IEM is a very good budget option if you particularly listen to things like drum and bass, hardstyle, and just electronic stuff. It's a V-shaped tuning. The mids are not very good. However, if you are that person that constantly goes to raves or nightclubs and you want that same kind of experience at home for a cheap IEM, then I guess this is for you. On a side note, the level of refinement and driver implementation was much better than I thought they would be, because normally when something's at this kind of price range, you'd expect it to, one, have really bad coherency issues if they had multiple drivers, and two, the drivers themselves are probably low quality. But this was surprisingly good in that sense. Technicalities are mediocre, but you can't really expect too much more for an IEM of this price, and there really isn't too much else worth noting here. So in terms of details, unboxing, and features and build quality, comes in a little box like this. You slide the lid off and you get greeted with the IEMs. Open the lid up, and on the inside you'll find a cable and the air tips. So there is no carrying pouch, but that's to be expected given this is under $30. If they included so much more accessories, it's going to cost them even more money, and I highly doubt they even have high profit margins on something like this at all. Optional choice between a microphone on the cable and not having a microphone on the cable. It's a $1 USD difference. I think this one that I got comes with the microphone on it, but I never tried that microphone, so I can't comment on the quality. I doubt it's going to be very good, obviously. For driver configuration, like I mentioned before, 2 balanced armatures, 1 dynamic driver. It looks aesthetically pretty nice, and if you look it up from this side, you can see that dynamic driver, just big round dynamic driver right there. That thing is pumping out all the bass on this, and then the balanced armatures are just on the sides as well. So aesthetically, this is actually really clean, and I do like the design. The build quality is fantastic. Very nice acrylic plastic shell here, and just all around good. So as per usual, I have my own cable plugged in for when I was trying these. This is an aftermarket custom cable. Very, very solid quality. Friend runs the company, he made this. This is by far the best IEM build quality cable I have seen and tried yet to date. Highly recommend for those who are willing to invest into their audio a bit more. You buy for the build quality, not the sonic differences, right? You don't expect the cable to make a big change to your audio sound, but definitely for the build and aesthetic. So for frequency response, it's on the screen now. I just pulled this off a squig link as per usual. I also placed it against the SimGot EA500, which I previously reviewed, and I hold that in extremely high regard. As more and more reviews of the SimGot EA500 have come out, it has been proven that that IEM is truly unreal for the price as well. I think that's my highest recommendation now. I said the Oranos was really good that I reviewed as well, but honestly, I would recommend just saving up more money and buying the EA500 over the TKZK Oranos that I also reviewed. So, jumping straight into it. The bass on these is surprisingly meaty and juicy. Definitely gets an approval for bass of this price range. Surprisingly, no bleeds into the mids either. Right, there was no bleed into the mids. That was the biggest surprise to me. I thought, based on how tuned it is, based on how they implemented these drivers, there's probably going to be a lot of boom in lower mids, but it was actually cleanly separated, and I was like, damn, like, they could do that with $30? Moving on to mids. Mids are clearly recessed. Treble boost also gives the mids a much more metallic timbre and shimmery thing. It doesn't really sound that good. It's not particularly enjoyable for mids focused tracks. So if you listen to instruments, if you listen to vocals, this is not the one for you. Not much more to say here. As we can see on treble, there is a huge 8K hertz peak. I haven't particularly felt that 8K hertz peak yet, but I also haven't put the volume very high for these in fear of that. So I guess I might be a little biased in that sense. There is sibilance present, but it's never extended screeching. Like I can occasionally hear some sibilance. In general, like you know that this is treble boosted, but there doesn't seem particularly anything noteworthy in that sense. It's just really hard for me to review this because all I can say is it's really good for drum and bass and EDM. Like that's the genres as well. Just good for hardstyle, good for drum and bass. No particular fatigue that I felt of, and the bass was surprisingly juicy. So that's honestly this just short review. It's just good for the price to performance. So in terms of technicalities, the resolution is okay. Obviously not the best. You can't particularly expect much more given the price. Separation, however, is really good. It's probably the best technicality on this IEM in the sense that even though not every last bit of detail is being reproduced in terms of resolution, every sound is still clearly separated and you can definitely differ between the different things. Soundstaging is a generic budget IEM, nothing special, nothing crazy. It's pretty closed in. Dynamics is done pretty well. It's probably the second best thing after separation, given that the V-shaped sound signature also emphasizes dynamics in terms of having it suddenly cut off to the mids and then powerful DD kicking in. So that is just, once again, good separation between the bass and the mids, giving that very dynamic impact when the bass does kick in from the dynamic driver. So dynamics is done pretty well. Positional audio and gaming is not very good. It's not designed for positional audio. Don't buy these if you want to do it for gaming. It's just for music. So in conclusion, right, this is probably the shortest review I've ever done. If you're on a really tight budget, so I have noticed there have been people from different countries, especially places like South America, wherever, where the exchange rates and their income means products that are priced at USDs and stuff isn't particularly the most available thing, then this is a good opportunity if you just want to blast electronic music. If you do want to play games or more multi-genre, look elsewhere. But if you want my personal opinion, I really think it's just a better decision to save money until you can buy something a bit more expensive, because it really isn't particularly worth buying things this cheap. I think if you save 2 times the price of this, you can buy the new Crin Project Red, right? The new Critical Project Red, which is insane. And also, if you save even more, you could also get something like the SimGot EA500 and so on. So that is me for this review. Don't think you'll see another super budget one come out of me again. If you like your drum and bass, your hardstyle, your EDM, then you can definitely still consider these.